The morning air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the distant hum of the city, a stark contrast to the quiet rural landscape. Hung, a diligent police officer, embraced the weekend as a precious gift, 2 days carved out from his demanding schedule. Today, his first mission was retrieving his son, Tony, and his own mother from the bustling urban environment. It had been 10 days since Tony last set foot on the familiar ground at their humble home, and the boy's excitement was palpable. The journey back was more than just a drive, it was a return to roots, a reaffirmation of family bonds. As they neared their village, the paved road gave way to a muddier track, a common sight in these parts, particularly after recent rains. Hung noted the challenge, realizing the need for immediate action. The soft, uneven ground, perpetually damp, was not just an inconvenience for walking, it posed a risk to their small flock of chickens, susceptible to disease in such conditions. "This place is too muddy," Hung observed, his voice firm yet gentle. "Leaving it like this will make the chickens sick. We have to pour sand in." It was a simple, practical solution, born from years of living close to the land, understanding its rhythms and demands. The land was not merely property, it was a living entity that required constant care, mirroring the intricate web of relationships within their family. "Tony, let's go home," he urged, a promise of warmth and familiarity in his tone. The first sight of their home, nestled amidst a small cluster of trees, brought a rush of emotion. Grandma, a figure etched with the wisdom of age and the enduring strength of a matriarch, stood waiting. Her face, a map of life's journeys, lit up as Tony bounded towards her, his small arms wrapping around her in an embrace that spoke volumes of missed days and unwavering affection. "Grandma, I'm home," Tony exclaimed, his voice ringing with pure joy. Hung explained, "Yes, today is the weekend off, so I came down to pick Tony up." The grandmother, feigning a gentle reproach, teased, "Oh, my little love, you've forgotten Grandma for a few days, haven't you?" It was a moment steeped in tradition, where playful words masked deep love, reinforcing the generational connection. The morning held more than just reunion, it was marked by a communal event. News had spread through the village that a charity group would be visiting Tony's school, distributing gifts to all the students. This was a significant occasion, reflecting the spirit of mutual support prevalent in rural communities, where external aid often supplemented local efforts to uplift the less fortunate. "Last night, the teacher called the group," Hung recounted, "and told the whole class that today there's a charity group coming to give gifts for all the students in the school." He planned to take Tony after a brief rest. The prospect of going to school, not for lessons but for gifts and festivities, filled Tony with an eager anticipation unique to childhood. The school was preparing performances, a blend of singing and dancing, transforming the usually studious environment into a vibrant hub of celebration. Hung's mother, however, was weary. The past week, spent caring for her grandson in the city while Hung worked, had taken its toll. "I'm tired when I get home," she confessed, her voice tinged with exhaustion. "Stay home and rest, Tony." She suggested that Hung take Tony alone. "It must take all morning," she reasoned, highlighting the rural pace of such events, which often unfolded over several hours. "I've been a whole week taking care of the children, it's hard, so I'll stay home and rest so you can let Tony play there and then wait for them to distribute the gifts. When I'm done, I'll go pick up Grandma and Tony later." Hung, ever mindful of his mother's sacrifice, insisted on her presence. "Yes, I haven't had a hard time all week, Mom," he said, downplaying his own efforts. "But Tony is home today. It's been a long time since I've seen Grandma. Grandma and I should go together. Let's go to school to play. Let's go with Grandma. Grandma, hold me, okay? Let's go receive charity gifts. Let's hold me for a bit. It's been a whole week." I miss you so much." His words, a blend of filial duty and a desire for shared family moments, subtly conveyed the importance of collective experience. The charity event wasn't just about gifts, it was an opportunity for the family to be seen together, a symbol of their unity within the community. The conversation then drifted to Tony's progress in school. Life in the city, though different, seemed to suit him. "Has Tony downstairs made any progress in his studies?" Hung's mother inquired, her concern for her grandson's well-being evident. Hung admitted, "Yes, there has been progress, but it's only a little, brother." Because at first, the teacher forced Tony to study within the framework. Tony was still a bit pressured, so the first few days, mostly like "I haven't learned anything in the last few days, I've seen Tony learn a little bit." It was a common challenge in education, especially for children transitioning between different learning environments, highlighting the delicate balance between structure and individual pace. The day also brought other domestic tasks. Hung's mother, despite her weariness, missed her own home, her garden, her daily routines. "Grandma, everything is fine at home, but you're still normal," Hung reassured her. "Grandma, today I can go home. Grandma, help me. In the morning and afternoon, do you miss home or want to go home to do anything? I'll take you home for a bit. When I'm done picking up Tony in the afternoon, I'll go home too." His consideration for her comfort and longing underscored a deep respect ingrained in their culture for elders and their desire for personal autonomy. He understood that while she loved being with Tony, her own space held a unique pull. The conversation naturally transitioned to household matters, including the care of their livestock. Their small flock of chickens was a source of sustenance and a connection to the traditional way of life. "Say hello to Tony for a bit. Get some corn. Feed the chickens," Hung instructed, teaching Tony responsibility and fostering a connection to their agricultural heritage. Tony, perhaps spurred by the day's excitement or the desire to please, displayed a rare eagerness. "It's been a long time since I've taken care of the chickens. I miss you so much. I love you so much. You're so good, that's how you should be," Hung encouraged, linking good behavior to the simple chores that sustain their lives. "When you come home from school, be good, say hello to Mom, go to school, go to class to meet your friends. Have you had breakfast yet?" "I've eaten." "Yes, then please help me." This small exchange painted a vivid picture of a childhood rooted in practical learning and familial expectation. As Tony prepared for the charity event, his grandmother ready to accompany him, Hung's mind turned to another project, raising pigeons. A neighbor had called, reporting a successful catch. "Yesterday, Uncle, my neighbor called me and said he caught a pigeon," Hung shared, his enthusiasm evident. "I told him to call me when he catches one so I can raise some. Since I can go home today, I'll probably go to his house to get some." Pigeons, besides providing eggs and meat, symbolized peace and fidelity in many cultures, and raising them was a popular pastime, often a small, sustainable source of income or food for families. The day's errands continued to intertwine with the larger family narrative. The impending visit to the neighbor's house to collect the pigeons required a quick phone call to secure the exchange. "Hello, I'm Mon," a voice responded, identifying Hung's helpful friend. The brief call confirmed the availability of the pigeons, setting the stage for Hung's next task. His efficiency and clear communication reflected the pragmatic approach to daily life in rural Vietnam, where neighborly assistance was a given, and mutual support a cornerstone of community. After the call, Hung made his way to his neighbor's house, the anticipation of new additions to his small farm a pleasant thought. Upon arrival, he found his neighbor, Mon, already present. "I see the homeowner is home. Is the homeowner home?" "Yes, are you free? I'll go over and make an appointment," Hung asked, his polite inquiry adhering to local customs of respect and courtesy. The neighbor, equally courteous, confirmed his availability. "Are you free, my dear? But the house you rented is a bit far away. If you come, it will take a little time." This brief exchange highlighted the practicalities of rural life, where distances, though not vast, still required planning and consideration. Hung's intent was not just to collect birds but to strengthen community ties, an essential aspect of social fabric. The neighbor had indeed caught the pigeons, a pair of them, beautifully plumed and vibrant. "Did you put it here? It looks so beautiful. My dear, you caught 2 pairs. These are 2 males and 2 females," Hung observed, admiring the birds. "I have to divide them into 2 cages. It would be better." His thoughts immediately turned to their care and propagation. "Yes, I also told my dear to catch one. Let me have another male so that it can reproduce. I want to raise some so that they can reproduce." The economics of rural life often dictated such choices. Raising animals provided both food and a potential small income, contributing to family resilience. The conversation shifted to the market value of pigeons, a common topic among farmers. "How much do you sell them for eggs?" "You sell them for 150,000 BND a pair," the neighbor explained, providing valuable insight into the local economy. Hung recalled a previous successful transaction. "Yes, the other day you sold chickens. Can I raise them?" "Your chickens are healthy and I raise them very quickly. Now I have a flock of many." "That's good." The past success emboldened his current venture. "I hope the pigeons I raise are as beautiful as chickens. Then Grandma is happy. Let me try to raise it to reproduce more. Let it have many more litters." His aspirations were humble yet deeply rooted in the desire for a thriving household, one that brought joy to his mother and sustenance to his son. The emphasis on reproduction spoke to the long-term thinking prevalent in agricultural communities, where foresight ensures future abundance. The neighbor, pleased with Hung's enthusiasm, offered further advice. "Yes, I see that your chickens are healthy. I see that your house has birds, so I told you to buy birds to breed. Here, there are 2 males and 2 females." This encouragement, steeped in shared knowledge, was a testament to the collaborative spirit of the village. Hung, however, acknowledged a practical challenge. "Oh, Grandma, here are 2 males and 2 females. When I told you, you also forced me to do the same." "Yes, I've been busy lately." His mother, ever the pragmatic one, had likely urged him to build proper housing. "Grandma told me to make 2 cages, but I'll probably just make a temporary cage to lock Chung up. When I'm free, I'll make a new cage. So, for now, I'll just temporarily lock Chung up. When I have time to make the cage, I'll separate him. Now, I have to lock him up for a few days. When I get him back, I have to lock him up. Yes, I'll take him home and lock him up." The temporary solution, while not ideal, was a necessity given his limited time, a common juggle for those balancing work and home. The need to acclimate the pigeons was paramount. Let him get used to the cage before releasing him. "He has to fly," Hung explained, detailing the careful process of introducing new animals to a new environment. He borrowed a cage from his neighbor, a temporary measure that further underscored the communal support system. "Yes, I'll go home. Me Grandma. Let me borrow this cage. When I finish making the cage, I'll bring it back to you later. You can take it back. When I'm done making the cage, I'll bring it back to you later." This reciprocal arrangement, built on trust and goodwill, allowed resources to be shared efficiently. After settling the practicalities, Hung offered to pay for the pigeons. "Yes, let me send you money and then I'll go home and take advantage of the time to make the cage." The transaction was straightforward, a fair exchange for the neighbor's efforts. As Hung prepared to leave, the neighbor, Perhaps sensing his hurried departure, lightheartedly remarked, "What are the police doing? Are you going home?" It was a moment of casual camaraderie, acknowledging Hung's official role while recognizing his personal commitment to home and family. Back at his own home, the vision of a thriving pigeon coop occupied Hung's thoughts. He had already started gathering materials. "A few days ago I told my neighbor to catch some pigeons. Last night he called. Today, since it's convenient for me to go home, I'll go get them and prepare to make a cage. I'm planning to raise pigeons." His plans were methodical, reflecting his disciplined nature. However, he also acknowledged a potential challenge. "Yes, but raising pigeons, I heard that they often destroy vegetables, so you have to take care of them, or I have to fence them in." This practical consideration, often overlooked by novices, highlighted his awareness of the delicate ecosystem of a rural homestead. His motivation for raising pigeons was simple yet profound. "I like raising pigeons. After raising them, you get eggs. Tony eats them, they're very nutritious. I saw that my neighbor raised a lot, so I also like to raise them." It was an aspiration fueled by a desire to provide nutritious food for his son and emulate successful practices within his community. The sight of robust, healthy birds and the promise of fresh eggs made the effort worthwhile. "Raising pigeons is good, but where did you get this? Why is the board so beautiful?" his mother inquired, noticing the quality of the wood he had procured. Hung explained, "Yes. Before taking Tony to school, I also told the sawmill to give me some so I can make a pigeon cage. They probably brought it, but I'm not at home." This foresight, securing materials even when absent, demonstrated his dedication to the project and his proactive approach to problem solving. His mother, ever practical, urged him to rest. "This is a pole. Give it to it, right? If you come home from a whole week and you're tired, then rest. Let's think about making a cage later." But Hung, fueled by his commitment, was undeterred. "But my neighbor told me that after catching it, you have to make it naked so it gets used to it before it can stay at school. I'm not tired, so let me do it for you." The urgency stemmed from the need to properly house the new birds, ensuring their well-being and successful integration. Hung viewed his 2 days off as a precious window of opportunity. "I only have 2 days off, but if I do this, I can take tomorrow off to make up for it." His dedication to maximizing his limited free time for family and home improvements was commendable. As he examined the pigeons, their beauty captivated him. "Which pigeon are you looking at? What a beautiful UI, beautiful color." "Right," he said, "there are 2 males and 2 females. I told him to catch them before, so I told him to catch them too. Give me both the male and the female so they can reproduce." His desire to establish a breeding pair reflected a long-term investment, both in the flock and in his family's future. The practicalities of housing the pigeons continue to surface. "If I divide them into 2 cages, they will grow faster, right?" Lock Chung up, "I don't know if it's okay. Let's make a temporary cage first. When we have time, we can do it later. Right now, I'm so busy that I don't have time to do it. Let's just lock him up like this and do it later. Let me help you. Let's start doing it now." His mother, seeing his resolve, offered her assistance, a gesture of shared labor and mutual support that defined their family dynamic. Together, they would transform the raw materials into a functional home for the pigeons. Hung began by preparing the foundation for the coop. "I'll dig a hole and then I'll bury the stake first. Let me leave it. Let it be hard so I can make a cage. Let me do it somewhere in this area where I like." His approach was meticulous, ensuring stability and durability. "There's a lot of wood left. I'll always do 2 floors. "Yes, let's do 2 floors. At least they'll breed. When it's out, it's comfortable." The 2-story design was a practical decision, allowing for expansion and comfort, anticipating the growth of the flock. The construction progressed steadily, a testament to Hung's handyman skills and his mother's unwavering support. The design, though simple, was effective. Yes, it's probably a bit heavy. It's a bit difficult to get up there later. Yes, building it like that looks nice, right? I also think it's beautiful and comfortable. With 2 floors, dozens of them can live there. The vision was clear, a comfortable, spacious home for their new feathered inhabitants. As Hung worked, his thoughts drifted to the upcoming meal. Have you finished it? Yes, I just bought a pig's leg to cook rice to eat. I forgot to leave it in the car. I haven't gotten it yet. I'll get it in to prepare to cook rice. When your mom and Tony come back from receiving gifts, we'll eat. It was a gesture of love and care, a nutritious meal to welcome back his son and mother after their day out. He planned to continue the construction tomorrow, reserving his remaining day off for the task. Let me build this. Let me go cook rice to eat and rest. It's not too hard. When I have a day off, I'll go home and do it again. Work like this they accidentally caught pigeons for me then have to do tomorrow. I'll take a day off. Tomorrow is the weekend. Sunday is the weekend. I'll go to the market to buy me a rice cooker so I can cook and some other stuff. Winter is coming. Buy Tony some warm clothes for school. His forward planning, from shopping for a rice cooker to buying winter clothes for Tony, reflected his role as a responsible provider, anticipating the needs of his family and the changing seasons. The pig's leg, he decided, would be stewed with Chinese herbs, a traditional tonic for health and vitality. I'll go prepare rice and when mom comes back we'll eat right away. Yes, delicious. Then I'll make Chinese herbal stewed pig's feet to nourish my health. It was a dish that embodied comfort, tradition, and care. As the day progressed, Hung completed a significant portion of the coop. I've finished it. Yes, there's a lack of wood in the back here. I'll take the board behind, I'll put it behind. He carefully selected the remaining pieces, ensuring every part served its purpose. The coop was taking shape, a testament to his dedication and skill. That looks really nice, honey, his mother commented, her approval a source of quiet satisfaction. Have you finished cooking that Kia yet? Yes, I've finished cooking it. Wait for it to soften and it's delicious. This is also good. Now I'll make the Kia base. When we finish we'll carry it up there and put it in. I don't know if you can lift it. Try lifting it to see if it's heavy. It's a bit heavy, probably just right. The shared task, the collaborative effort, brought a sense of accomplishment to their day. As they worked to position the completed coop, Hung noticed a slight imbalance. I see it seems a bit forward. Can you help me? Let me back to the back so I can nail it upside down here. Let it probably cover this up and lock it up in a door for a few days. Let the bird get used to it. His attention to detail ensured the coop would be secure and comfortable for its new inhabitants, reflecting the meticulousness often found in skilled artisans. The image of the pigeons, plump and healthy, filled him with hope. This house raises fat, very fat, round body. Not I wonder if Tony has received his gift yet. Right? His thoughts, ever oscillating between tasks, always returned to his family. The day was drawing to a close, and Hung's thoughts returned to Tony and his mother, who were still at the school. I don't know either. It's late, it's probably almost done. If the charity group comes early, it will be quick, he mused, a touch of anticipation in his voice. He wondered what gifts Tony might have received, a simple curiosity born of paternal affection. Yes, I don't know what gift they're giving today. For Tony, I see the school is very crowded, and the parents are there too. The crowded school reflected the community's engagement, a testament to the importance placed on education and child welfare. His next immediate task was to pick them up, ensuring their safe return. Let me wash my feet. After I'm done, I'll go pick you up. Otherwise, I'm afraid that after giving the gift, you and I will go back to the department. He needed to return to his official duties soon, making this family time even more precious. His mother, however, urged him to prioritize the meal. "Yes, Ra, just go pick up Mom and Tony, and you stay home and cook rice." She knew the value of a warm meal after a long day. Hung, checking the stew, found it perfectly cooked. "Yes, let me see if the pot of bones is soft yet." "Wow, it's very soft. This is delicious. This stew is very nutritious. It's delicious. It looks delicious. Boil more water. The longer it cooks, the more delicious it is. I'll cook rice. Let me go pick up Tony." The rich aroma of the stew filled the kitchen, a promise of comfort and nourishment, emblematic of traditional Vietnamese hospitality and the deep care within the family. Amidst these domestic preparations, a more pressing and deeply personal matter weighed heavily on Hung's mother. The old family home, the house where Hung had grown up, had been mortgaged years ago due to her past mistakes. Now, she longed to reclaim it, to mend a rift with her son and restore a sense of belonging. She had tasked Mon, a trusted friend and neighbor, with contacting the current owners to initiate negotiations. As Hung headed out to pick up Tony, he noticed Mon's attempts to reach the owners. "Yes, the door's open, but I don't see anyone. I don't know if Mon has made an appointment with the landlady to resolve the matter. For me, I don't hope the landlady is home. Just come over to Mon's house. I asked him to come over and help me." Mon, ever obliging, had successfully made contact. The owners were indeed home. "Oh, are you home?" "I'm here. Luckily, I'm at home today." "They're home, Uncle. They're home." "Yes, Uncle, just come in here." The opportunity had arrived. Hung's mother, accompanied by Mon, entered the house that once was hers. She found the current owner, a businesswoman, occupied with paperwork. "What am I doing?" "I'm doing some paperwork, Uncle." "Oh, work is so busy, isn't it?" "Yes, I'll check the books a bit." The scene highlighted the contrast between the owner's busy, financially driven life and the mother's more emotionally charged quest for redemption. The financial aspect of her plight quickly surfaced. "So you still keep the money?" "Yes, I still keep the same amount of money, but it's been half a year now. I don't know if they take any interest. I'm afraid it's not enough." Mon, sensitive to her worry, offered reassurance. "Uncle, just drink some water and then we'll go over there and ask them how they make a profit." The core issue was the original mortgage amount versus the house's current market value, a common predicament in Vietnam's rapidly appreciating real estate market. Property values, driven by economic growth and urbanization, could soar dramatically in short periods, turning once affordable redemptions into formidable financial challenges. The emotional weight of her past actions was palpable. She had not yet faced Hung since her return, burdened by shame and regret. "Since the day you came back, have you met the hero yet?" "You haven't?" "I've been to the house all the time. The police have been looking for you but I haven't met you. I've been looking for the police at the market outside Kia but I haven't met them all the time." "But you have to redeem the house before you dare to face the hero. You haven't redeemed the house yet so you don't dare to face your son." "I'm very shy." Her words revealed a deep cultural emphasis on honor and familial duty. To her, reclaiming the house was not just a financial transaction but a prerequisite for emotional reconciliation with her son, Hung, the hero in her eyes, a reflection of his status as a police officer and provider. She believed she must first rectify her mistake before seeking his forgiveness. Mon offered practical advice. "Yes, he's probably on a business trip now and isn't here. Uncle, just redeem the house. When he comes back, you can meet him." He understood her emotional burden and encouraged her to focus on the immediate goal. "I'm also thinking about that. I also plan to wait until the work is done before I let Hung know that you're coming back. Her resolve to redeem the house first was clear. The current owners, who had just returned, had previously been unresponsive. Yes, have you met the owner of Kia yet? They just came back. I went there too. I've asked them but they don't want to give it back yet. Mon's diplomatic efforts were crucial. I hope they will sell the house back to you. I'll try my best to help you. I've also made an appointment with them. I also want to make an appointment to meet the owner in person to talk to you. His persistence and personal engagement highlighted the importance of relationships and direct negotiation in local dealings. Mon had already set up the meeting. Yes, I went over to you a while ago. We talked, so I called him and told him that if he has free time, he should come here to meet them. I also hope that everything goes smoothly. Yet, the elephant in the room remained the financial gap. Yes, but this guy, the money you gave him before is not enough to redeem the house. It's been a long time, they'll buy it back from them. The price must be higher than the price you gave them. That's too bad. You still keep the same amount of money. If it's not enough to redeem the house, where can you borrow money? The escalating property values had made her original sum woefully inadequate, placing her in a difficult position. Mon suggested involving Hung, despite her reluctance. I think you should talk to Hero and discuss it with him. Now you don't have enough money to redeem the house. You don't dare face your child. Now you have to bother your child, you have no face left. He acknowledged her deep-seated shame but emphasized the necessity of a family discussion. I see that he also wants to redeem the house very much. Now you don't have enough money. I think you should talk to him. The two of you should discuss how to solve it. If you meet Hero now, he probably won't forgive you. Mon's words cut to the core of her dilemma. The desire for forgiveness and the practical need for more funds. Her financial struggles were deep. As for the money, I don't know where to borrow it. Do you have money? Recently, I just invested in a project. Now I'm also short of money. I'm also running around to finish investing in that project. So I don't have money, Uncle. Mon, too, was currently constrained. So I'm asking if anyone around here can borrow money for you. When I invested in the project, I also asked a few brothers and everyone here. I still haven't been able to pay it back yet. Now that I ask, I'm sure they won't have any. This paints a realistic picture of the financial tightrope many small entrepreneurs walk in a developing economy, often relying on informal networks for capital. A difficult solution emerged. Selling another asset. You still have a piece of land in Swa, or should I find a customer to sell it to you so you can redeem the house? Don't do that, Uncle. Hero, he doesn't like it. Before, he was so poor, but he didn't sell the land here. Now that you're back, if you sell it, he'll be even angrier with you. The mention of Swa, garden land, and land represented a deeper cultural significance than mere assets. These were ancestral lands, part of the family's legacy, and selling them would be a profound step, potentially angering Hung further. Now, the only way left is to sell the Swa piece of land, my dear, so you can redeem the house. That's the only way. It's the best choice. Mon, seeing no other viable option, presented the harsh truth. The land was the key to reclaiming the home, and by extension, family honor. If you don't redeem the house, Swa and the rice field don't have any meaning. The decision was too momentous to make alone. Is it difficult? Or do it this way, Uncle? Let's go talk to them and see how it goes, then you and I can decide. Should I sell it or not? Just ask the Hero. If you decide to sell it, that's the only way. Then I'll help you. We'll both go see it and solve it. Mon urged a pragmatic approach, suggesting they first ascertain the current owner's demands before making such a weighty decision. The involvement of the Hero, Hung, was inevitable. Finally, the moment arrived. Mon and Hung's mother went to meet the current owners. How is it? Yes, Uncle and I go there. Uncle and I have made an appointment with someone. Yes, Uncle and I go there to see how it is. They were greeted by the homeowner. Miss, oh, who is it here? Please come in. Yes, I invite you to have a drink. Yes, I would like to invite you and I to have a drink. The initial pleasantries were exchanged, a customary ritual of respect before sensitive discussions. Mon, acting as the intermediary, made the introductions and explained the purpose of their visit. Miss, let me introduce to you. This is my cousin, the old owner of this house. Like just now I came over, I talked to you. He wants to redeem the house. In the past he made a mistake. He accidentally mortgaged this house to someone. Now he is back. He wants to redeem the house. Miss, see if it is possible. Miss, let him redeem the house. He emphasized the mother's sincere desire for redemption and acknowledged her past error. The owner responded, "This matter, before, I also met your son and discussed this matter, but I also forgot to ask the family again and time is urgent. I have not found another suitable house for work convenience." Her response indicated that Hung had already approached her, confirming his own desire to reclaim the family home. Her current dilemma, however, was finding an alternative residence, a practical constraint in a competitive housing market. Hung's mother reiterated her deep emotional connection to the house. "Really, I really want to redeem this house. I hope you come back, talk to the family, try to create conditions, let me redeem the house as soon as possible, but the money is what I mortgaged in the past. I still keep the house and money the same, but in the past 6 months, the price has been different. If there is anything, we can negotiate with each other later. I hope you will create conditions." She acknowledged the changed market value, a pragmatic recognition that her original sum would not suffice, and appealed for understanding and flexibility. This underscored the ethical quandary of property transactions when personal histories are involved. The owner acknowledged the mother's earnest plea. "For that uncle, I see that uncle really wants to redeem the house. I know that, but you have not consulted with your family and have not found another place, so you want to wait a while longer." Her words, while sympathetic, were firm, reflecting her own needs and responsibilities. Hung's mother, desperate to convey the depth of her remorse, pressed on. "In the past, I made a mistake. I lived too selfishly. I mortgaged this house. Now that I have returned here, I hope you will try to create conditions for me to redeem this house so that I can make up for the feelings between me and my son. I want him to forgive me, so I hope you will try to help me so that I can get this house back as soon as possible. Yes, I hope you will sympathize with this matter." Her plea was not just for the house but for a chance to mend her family, to restore honor, and to earn her son's forgiveness. The house, in this context, became a symbol of her reconciliation and redemption. The owner recalled Hung's previous visit. "Previously, your son also came here to talk about this matter and also meant that he wanted to redeem the house. I also made it clear to him. Real estate is getting more and more expensive. I also told him that the amount of money is quite large, the difference in money. Different from the day before, you sold a lot. I also had to ask the family to negotiate." She confirmed Hung's efforts and the significant financial gap, emphasizing that her family would need to discuss it. Hung's mother, determined, offered a deposit. "Okay, first of all, let me send you this amount of money. How much is missing? I will manage. Please try to help my mother and I so that we can